June 1944. A shipyard in Virginia. Workers are celebrating because they just launched their 7th aircraft carrier of the month. 7 in 30 days. From massive fleet carriers to escort ships, America was launching carriers like cars rolling off an assembly line. Fast forward 80 years, same shipyard, same Virginia coast. But now, it takes 7 years to build one supercarrier. 7 years. And here's the secret nobody in Washington wants to talk about. In a quiet announcement earlier this year, the Pentagon pushed back delivery of the newest carrier, USS John F. Kennedy. Not ready until 2025. Not even 2026. The new date is 2027. That is a 2-year delay announced in a single memo. The official reason? Technical challenges. But read between the lines, and you find the real culprit: supply chain issues, and a critical shortage of skilled workers. Translation: we don't have enough people to turn the wrenches. Think about that for a second. We have an $800 billion defense budget. We have technology that didn't exist in 1944. Computers, robotics, artificial intelligence. Yet somehow, we got slower at building the weapons that won World War II. Meanwhile, China is churning out warships at a rate we haven't seen since World War II. According to a leaked Office of Naval Intelligence report from 2023, their shipbuilding capacity is 232 times ours. They can convert civilian shipyards to military production overnight. And everyone in the Pentagon knows 11 carriers aren't enough to counter that threat. So here's the question that should keep every American awake at night. Why doesn't the Navy just write a check and build the 12th carrier? The answer doesn't lie in Congress or the White House. It lies in a single town in Virginia. And the culprit isn't a politician, it's a clock. If you're proud of the American shipbuilders who refuse to cut corners, even when the world is racing past them, type "proud" in the comments below. Today, we're breaking down the single bottleneck strangling American naval power. The workforce crisis that China doesn't have. And why the most dangerous threat to our fleet isn't missiles or submarines. It's retirement parties. Here's what most people don't realize. There is exactly one place in the entire United States capable of building nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. 1. Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia. Huntington Ingalls Industries. That's it. If you want a Ford-class supercarrier, you're going there. There's no alternative, no backup, no plan B. The heart of this operation sits in a massive concrete canyon called Dry Dock 12. It stretches over 2,000 feet long and 250 feet wide. You could park 500 school buses end to end in this space. It's been operating continuously since 1961. No breaks, no rest. Because if Dry Dock 12 goes down, American carrier production stops. Not slows down, stops. But here's the part that should terrify every military planner. The entire assembly process depends on a single crane. Workers call it Big Blue. It's a Krupp gantry crane standing 233 feet tall, capable of lifting 1,050 tons. Think about it. The entire security of the Western Hemisphere is hanging, quite literally, on one set of gears. Big Blue is the Achilles heel of American naval power. If that crane breaks down, gets sabotaged, or suffers catastrophic damage in a storm, the fleet stops growing. There is no second crane. There is no backup facility. Big Blue is irreplaceable. Now compare that to China. They have commercial shipyards scattered across their entire coastline, hundreds of them. And because Chinese law mandates that civilian infrastructure can be converted for military use, every single one of those yards is a potential warship factory. That 232-to-1 ratio? It's not just about current military shipyards. It's about surge capacity. In a prolonged conflict, China can convert fishing boat yards, container ship facilities, even oil tanker docks into military production. America can't. We let our commercial shipbuilding industry die over the past 50 years. The numbers tell a brutal story. During the 10-carrier period between 2012 and 2017, the Navy couldn't maintain global coverage. Carriers deployed for 9 months, then 10 months, with no relief in sight. Sailors who signed up for 6-month deployments found themselves stuck at sea with no end date. The math is unforgiving. Some carriers are deployed, some are training, and some are completely torn apart in dry dock for years-long overhauls. You can't cheat that cycle. You can't wish more ships into existence. But the real crisis isn't the infrastructure. The real crisis is the people who work there. And that problem is far worse than anyone wants to admit. Walk through the gates of Newport News shipbuilding on any Monday morning, and you'll see something that should alarm every American. A sea of green hard hats, new workers, trainees, people learning the basics. What you won't see? The white and yellow hard hats of master craftsmen. Those are disappearing. Fast. Here's the thing people don't understand. You can't build an aircraft carrier with regular welders. To become a nuclear qualified pipe welder, it takes 5 to 7 years of intensive training. 5 to 7 years. That's longer than most college degrees, longer than medical school for some specialties. And the standards are unforgiving. Every single weld gets x-rayed. If inspectors find a porosity defect the size of a pinhead, that weld is dead. It must be gouged out and redone from scratch. And if you can't hold that standard consistently, you don't belong in a nuclear shipyard, because at 500 meters below the surface, or in the middle of a naval battle, that tiny air pocket will kill 5,000 sailors when the pipe ruptures. The welders who can meet those standards, they're called master shipbuilders. It's a title you earn after 40 years of continuous service at Newport News. 40 years of crawling into cramped spaces, breathing welding fumes in 104-degree heat, x-raying every joint, never cutting corners. These master shipbuilders are living libraries. They know how to bend nuclear-grade steel. They know which alloys react to saltwater corrosion. They know the tricks that aren't written in any manual because they learned them through 4 decades of trial and error. And they're retiring. Every single week, another master shipbuilder walks out those gates for the last time. When they leave, 40 years of institutional knowledge walks out with them. The replacement rate? For every skilled worker who retires, Newport News can recruit about half a replacement. Point 5. The math doesn't work. The Navy is hemorrhaging expertise faster than it can train new people. As of 2023, there are 9,000 unfilled positions across American naval shipyards. 9,000. These aren't entry-level jobs. These are specialized roles requiring years of training and security clearances. So why aren't young Americans lining up for these jobs? Because the economics don't make sense anymore. A delivery driver for DoorDash can make $15 to $20 an hour with zero training. An Uber driver works their own schedule. A programmer sits in an air-conditioned office. It takes a rare breed of American to spend 7 years training for a job where you work in a steel coffin at 104 degrees. It's not just a job, it's a service. The cultural shift is devastating. The greatest generation in baby boomers saw shipbuilding as honorable work. You were building the tools that defended freedom. Your grandfather did it. Your father did it. You did it. But today, young people want to be content creators, software developers, entrepreneurs. The idea of a 40-year career welding pipes in a shipyard sounds like punishment, not opportunity. You can't 3D print a skilled tradesman. You can't download expertise. You can't replace 4 decades of experience with a YouTube tutorial. The Navy tried offering bonuses, signing incentives, better benefits. It's not enough. The pipeline is broken. China solves this differently. They build ships with mandates. We build ships with pride. And in the heat of battle, that difference is everything. So you might ask, why not just lower the standards? Build carriers faster with less experienced workers, accept a few more defects? After all, China's ships aren't perfect. That's exactly the wrong question. Because American carriers aren't just built to float, they're built to survive. And there's a brutal difference. In 2005, the Navy took a legendary supercarrier out to sea, the USS America, CV-66. She wasn't new. She was a veteran of the Cold War and Desert Storm. But her final mission was the most dangerous of all, to be a sacrifice. For 4 straight weeks, Navy weapons specialists attacked their own ship. They fired artillery shells at the hull. They launched cruise missiles at the superstructure. They detonated massive underwater explosive charges to simulate the worst torpedoes and mines our enemies possess. The goal? Find out exactly how much punishment an American carrier can absorb before it sinks. The results were stunning. After 4 weeks of continuous bombardment, USS America was still floating, listing badly, burning from stem to stern. But the flag was still flying, and the ship refused to die. She was so tough that demolition teams had to board her and plant charges internally just to finally send her down. That test revealed the secret to American survivability. It's not just the armor, It's the honeycomb inside. While commercial ships are largely open spaces, an American carrier is divided into thousands of watertight compartments. It is a labyrinth of steel. This is the real reason these ships take 7 years to build. It's not just welding a hull, it's hand-welding a complex network of blast doors and reinforced bulkheads. If a torpedo breaches the outer skin, the damage is contained. One room floods, but the ship fights on. You can't automate this. You need skilled hands to weave 10 million feet of fiber optic cable through this steel maze, ensuring that even if the ship is broken, the command center still talks to the engine room. The Chinese build carriers to project power in peacetime. The Americans build carriers to survive World War III. But there's something even more important than steel and electronics. Something that defines how America builds these ships. It's about legacy. When the Navy decommissioned USS Enterprise, CVN-65, the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, after 51 years of service, they didn't just scrap her. Shipyard workers carefully removed 20 tons of steel from her hull. 20 tons. They melted that steel down and forged it into the keel of the new Enterprise, CVN-80, currently under construction. The soul of the old ship transferred into the new one. That's how Americans build tradition. We don't just manufacture weapons. We carry forward the legacy of everyone who served on those decks. The 20 tons of steel in that new keel represents 51 years of deployments, combat operations, and sailors who called that ship home. You can't rush that. You can't outsource it to the lowest bidder. And you definitely can't replace the craftsmen who understand what it means. So why can't America build a 12th carrier? Because we refuse to build hollow shells just to inflate the numbers. The new USS Enterprise is rising in that same Newport News dry dock right now. She'll arrive late. The Pentagon knows it. The admirals know it. But when she finally slides into the water, she'll be carrying 20 tons of history welded into her future. China will have more ships. They'll have them faster. But they won't have ships that can take 4 weeks of weapons testing and still float. They won't have master shipbuilders with 40 years of expertise in every weld. And they won't have a workforce that refuses to cut corners even when the world is racing past them. We can write a check for the steel. We can write a check for the reactor. But the 40 years of honor in those hands? That is priceless. The 12th carrier is coming. Just not on the schedule politicians wanted. It will be late, but it will be worth the wait. Because when it arrives, it will be immortal. Technology can build a machine, but only human hands can forge a legend.